Live here. Yibo Sawubona, Tiffany. All right, beautiful people. Okay, let's say it's live. Okay, let me fix this. Minimize it. Top of the day, YouTube. Top of the day, beautiful people. I am delighted you all decided to come stay in my post with me this morning. Yeah, I mean, y'all always do, but I'm grateful that y'all would come and listen. There have been some days when nobody showed up. You know what I do? I'm right here in the same place, still standing my post, still reading. Okay. All right, y'all. So today, let me tell you something. I was reading over this last night, the Trina, that Twabu. Look, so I was reading over the extra part we're going to read today in Jasher. Oh my gosh, I forgot to. Jasher. What chapter was that? Guys, hold on one quick second. Oh, I hope this don't kill my live. Hold on. It's going to pause it real quick. Got to look at this. I'm sorry. 22 and 23. Okay. Okay. I'm back. Can y'all see me? Okay. Say I'm still live. Okay. I forgot. I looked at it, then I forgot it real quick. Okay, what we're going to read. Okay. I'm going to do my introduction real quick. Okay, y'all. Today is November the 26th, 2020, day number 8 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And it's year 3, another 3-year consecutive day count, day 678. 678. Okay. All right, y'all. Let me do that right there. And we're reading Genesis 22, 23, and 24. And we're going to read I call it companion reading. But the reading that goes along with that, well, a portion of it is Jasher 22 and 23. And remember how we talked about this? Yeah, it's probably been about a couple weeks now. Remember how we was talking about the sacrifices and stuff and how I'm going over it and going through all and trying to remove the leaven and stuff. Well, last night when I was reading Jasher 22 and 23, you know how when you read something again, when you go back and you read it like that second or the third time, something pops out to you that didn't originally pop out to you the first couple times you read it. But let me tell you, this time it really catches your attention. So remember how I was telling y'all, I was asking y'all, I was like, okay, Father, the sacrifice. And I said, then I still don't understand why you would ask Abraham to sacrifice his son. You know, I'm like, why would you even, consider asking him that, right? And remember I told you, y'all said to me, it never even crossed my mind. Because remember, sacrificing your children is an abomination to y'all, right? So, but when I read over this really solidified to me, Yahuwah said it didn't even cross my mind. So I'm super excited about getting to that. I know I say I'm super excited about every piece of this, but every piece of it is precious to me. And it just makes the bigger picture so much easier to understand. So we're going to get right to it. And y'all see when I get to what it's in, I had to stop and I kept reading these 2 chapters over a couple times last night. I was like, I knew I was hearing from you when I heard that, because if you don't have the full story, people, you get a different type of teaching. I mean, which is understandable because you don't have all the parts. And so you teach it with the understanding that you currently have. So, but we're going to fill in a couple of these pieces for everybody today with what happened on the way to the mountain, what happened on the mountain, what was happening back at home with Sarah while they was on the mountain, and with Ishmael and Eleazar. Remember Eleazar, Abraham's servant, when to bash the judge across the head in Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay. All right, so let's get to reading today, y'all. Genesis 22. Sometime later, Yahuwah tested Abraham's faith. Abraham, Yahuwah called. Yes, he replied. Here I am. Take your son, your only son, yes, Isaac, whom you love so much, and go to the land of Moriah. Go and sacrifice him as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I will show you. Now, let me tell you something. Right here, just with this chapter starting off is very, very misleading because it doesn't even tell you what happened before before this conversation right here took place. So it looks like y'all just out of the clear blue just decided, let me test Abraham today. Tell him to go sacrifice Isaac, the promise that I gave to him. That is not what happened, people. I'm so excited. Okay. We're going to get to it in a minute. The next morning, Abraham got up early. He saddled his donkey and took 2 of his servants with him, along with his son Isaac. Then he chopped wood for a fire for a burnt offering and set out for the place Yahuwah had told him about. On the 3rd day of their journey, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. Stay here with the donkey, Abraham told his servants. The boy and I will travel a little farther. We will worship there, and then we will come right back. So right here also where it says Abraham told his servants to stay here with the donkey. Among those servants was his son Ishmael and his number 1 servant, right-hand man, Eleazar, right? And also, remember yesterday when we was talking about Sarah and Hagar, Abraham and Sarah, Hagar and Ishmael. You remember how I said if you grew up going to Sunday school, when they get to this story, they show Ishmael as a baby, and the boy was 14 years old. Also, here, when you get to this part in Sunday school too, or even if they teach this from the pulpit, at least from my experience, they teach when Abraham, when they went up here to the mountain, that Isaac was also a baby or a little lad, like a toddler or something, But from my understanding, when this was being taught, I understood that he was like he was like 5 years old or something, So I have all these questions. Okay, a toddler ain't gonna keep still like this, and I had all those questions. But also, what happens here in the translation and how they chop this up, you lose track of the time that passes between some of these events. And also Jasher is going to make clear how old this boy really was. He said, me and the boy be back. They should not have used boy. Isaac at this point was a grown man. Like G was 35 years old. No, we're going to get to it. Just listen. Okay, so I had to tell y'all that so y'all, while y'all reading this stuff, you get the right mind frame about the time that's passed and how old everybody is, because it makes sense now. Girl, you were the one telling your siblings about surprise and telling the end of the movie, weren't you? You know what? I was pretty good about not giving away the end of the movie, Tiffany. I don't know if any of us ever did it. No, I didn't. If I saw the movie, I can't say, oh, wait, this part right here. I ain't gonna tell you, but yeah, this part right here, watch. Yeah, so I probably was the one doing that. Okay, all right, y'all. I'm gonna stop with my interrupting. On the 3rd day of their journey, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. Stay here with the donkey, Abraham told the servants. The boy and I would travel a little farther. I'm telling y'all this, giving you like the narration, Tiffany, through here. So while we're reading this, you can get in the right mind frame. But I'm not telling you everything that happened. But as we're reading this, I want you to adjust your thinking. So when you go back and read this, it'll click in my voice, or you'll understand, oh, this, because sometimes, especially if you don't go back and read Jasher yourself, which I know you read it, Tiffany, because we talk about it, that may not click real quick, So with the basic scriptures that everybody use, I want that. So when they come back to here, oh, yeah, that's right. I want them to be flagged to understand, wait a minute, this is missing some pieces here, okay. Stay here with the donkey, Abraham told the servants. The boy and I will travel a little farther. We will worship there, and then we will come right back. So Abraham placed the wood for the burning of the offering on Isaac's shoulders, while he himself carried the fire and the knife. As the 2 of them walked together, Isaac turned to Abraham and said, Father. Yes, my son, Abraham replied. We have the fire and the wood, the boy said, but where is the sheep for the burnt offering? Yahuwah will provide a sheep for the burnt offering, my son, Abraham answered, and they both walked on together. When they arrived at the place where Yahuwah had told him to go, Abraham built an altar and arranged the wood on it. Then he tied his son Isaac and laid him on on the altar on top of the wood. And Abraham picked up the knife to kill his son as a sacrifice. At that moment, the angel of Yahuwah called to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. Yes, Abraham replied, here I am. Don't lay a hand on the boy, the angel said. Do not hurt him in any way, for now I know that you truly fear Yahuwah. You have not withheld from me even your son, your only son. Then Abraham looked up and saw the ram caught by its horns in the thicket. So he took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering in the place of his son. Abraham named the place Yahweh Yireh, which means Yahuwah will provide, or you hear in church it's Jehovah Jireh, but there were no J's, but I digress. To this day, the people still use that name as a proverb on the mountain of Yahuwah, it will be provided. Then the angel of Yahuwah called again to Abraham from heaven. This is what Yahuwah says. Because you have obeyed me and not withheld even your only, because you have obeyed me and not withheld even your son, your only son, I swear by my own name that I will certainly bless you. I will multiply your descendants beyond number like the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore. Your descendants will conquer the cities of their enemies, and through your descendants, all the nations of the earth will be blessed, all because you obeyed me. Then they returned to the servants and traveled back to Beersheba, where Abraham continued to live. Soon after this, Abraham heard that Milcah, his brother's Nahor's wife, had borne Nahor 8 sons. The oldest was named Uz, the next oldest was Buz, followed by Kemuel, the ancestor of the Arameans, Kesed, Hazel, Fildash, Jidlap, and Bethuel. Bethuel became the father of Rebekah. In addition to these 8 sons from Milcah, Nahor had 4 other children from his concubine, Ruma. Their names were Teba, Gaham, Tahash, and Makkah. Okay, something else real quick I want to bring out. You know how, up here where it says, then Yahuwah called down to Abraham again, but it was the angel that was talking. I don't know if you guys been paying attention, but every time Yahuwah speaks, and even when the 3 angels showed up at Abraham's door, it was 3 angels, and they were relaying the messages directly from Yah to Abraham. And you will see that pattern. I don't know if y'all ever paid attention to that. A lot of people say, oh, it's Yah himself that appeared there. No, it wasn't. It was the angel of Yah, and the angel of Yah relayed the message. I'll go back up real quick so you can see real quick. Hold on. Up at verse 11, it says, at that moment, the angel of Yahuwah called to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. Yes, Abraham replied, here am I. Do not lay hold on the boy, the angel said. Do not hurt him in any way, for I know that you truly fear God. You have not withheld from me even your son, your only son. And it says, it's Yah talking to him, but the angel is relaying the message. Because if you go up a little bit further, it was saying, hold on. Okay, at the beginning of the verse, it says, sometime later, Yahuwah tested Abraham's faith. Yahuwah called, yes. He replied, here am I. Take your son, your only son, Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah. You know, but it tells you that it's the angel. It's actually the angel relaying the message, you know. So I wouldn't doubt that sometime it is the audible voice of Yah, because sometimes I'm like, okay, is it Yah, is it angel? But the whole point is the message is coming from Yah directly to you, you know. So, but you'll learn how to identify those voices. So also pay attention to who's speaking, y'all. Okay, Genesis 23. When Sarah was 127 years old, she died at Kiriath Arba, now called Hebron, in the land of Canaan. There Abraham mourned and wept for her. Then, leaving her body, he said to the Hittite elders, here I am, a stranger and a foreigner among you. Please sell me a piece of land so I can give my wife a proper burial. Shalom, shalom. The Hittites replied to Abraham, "Listen, my lord, you are an honored prince among us. Choose the finest of our tombs and bury her there. No one here will refuse to help you in this way." Then Abraham bowed low before the Hittites and said, "Since you are willing to help me in this way, be so kind as to ask Ephron, son of Zohar, to let me buy his cave at Machpelah down at the end of his field. I will pay the full price in the presence of witnesses, so I will have a permanent burial place for my family." Ephron was sitting there among the others, and he answered Abraham as the others listened, speaking publicly before all the Hittite elders of the town. "No, my lord," he said to Abraham, "please listen to me. I will give you the field and the cave. Here in the presence of my people, I give it to you. Go and bury your dead." Abraham again bowed low before the citizens of the land, and he replied to Ephron as everyone listened, "No, listen to me. I will buy it from you. Let me pay the full price for the field so I can bury my dead there." Ephron answered Abraham, "My lord, please listen to me. The land is worth 400 pieces of silver, but what is that between friends? Go ahead and bury your dead." So Abraham agreed to Ephron's price and paid the amount he had suggested, 400 pieces of silver, weighed according to the market standard. The Hittite elders witnessed the transaction. So Abraham bought the plot of land belonging to Ephron at Machpelah near Mamre. This includes the field itself, the cave that was in it, and all the surrounding trees. It was transferred to Abraham as his permanent possession in the presence of the Hittite elders at the city gate. Then Abraham buried his wife Sarah there in Canaan in the cave of Machpelah near Mamre, also called Hebron. So the field and the cave were transferred from the Hittites to Abraham for use as a permanent burial place. All right, y'all. Genesis chapter 24. And this is the last chapter out of here that we're going to read before we jump over to Jasher 22 and 23 when we get all the details of what happened all the way up here to the mountain, what happened between Abraham and Isaac and all the in-between stuff that was left out of here. But when you read it and you understand it, you will see how much time had passed between some of these events and some of the details of why the whole thing happened. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. I'm thinking about what Tiffany said. I'm giving away everything. Okay, Abraham was now, Genesis 24. Abraham was now a very old man, and Yahuwah had blessed him in every way. One day, Abraham said to his oldest servants, the man in charge of his household, "Take an oath by putting your hand under my thigh. Swear by Yahuwah, the God of heaven and earth, that you will not allow my son to marry one of these local Canaanite women. Go instead to my homeland, to my relatives, and find a wife there for my son Isaac." The servant asked, "But what if I can't find a young woman who is willing to travel so far from home? Should I then take Isaac there to live among your relatives in the land you came from?" "No," Abraham responded. "Be careful never to take my son there. For Yahuwah, the God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and my native land, solemnly promised to give this land to my descendants. He will send his angels ahead of you, and he will see to it that you find a wife there for my son. If she is unwilling to come back with you, then you are free from this oath of mine. But under no circumstance are you to take my son there." Oh, you didn't take the excitement from me, Tiffany, but I want to be mindful that I'm not giving too much of it away. I want to kind of keep y'all in suspense a little bit. So the servant took an oath by putting his hand under the thigh of his master Abraham. He swore to follow Abraham's instructions. Then he loaded 10 of Abraham's camels with all kinds of expensive gifts from his master, and he traveled to distant Aram Naharaim. I know I screwed that up. Aram Naharaim. Okay, y'all get it. Then he went to the town where Abraham's brother Nahor had settled. He made the camels kneel beside the well just outside the town. It was evening, and the women were coming out to draw water. "Oh Lord, God of my master Abraham," he prayed, "please give me success today in showing unfailing love to my master Abraham. See, I am standing here beside this spring, and the young women of the town are coming out to draw water. This is my request. I will ask of one of them, please give me a drink from your jug. If she says, yes, have a drink, and I will water your camels too, let her be the one you have selected as Isaac's wife. This is how I will know that you have shown unfailing love for my master." Before he had finished praying, he saw a young woman named Rebecca coming out with her water jug on her shoulder. She was the daughter of Bethuel, who was the son of Abraham's brother Nahor and his wife Milcah. Rebekah was very beautiful and old enough to be married, but she was still a virgin. She went down to the spring, filled her jug, and came up again. Running over to her, the servant said, "Please give me a little drink of water from your jug." "Yes, my lord," she answered. "Have a drink." And she quickly lowered her jug from her shoulder and gave him a drink. When she had given him a drink, she said, "I'll draw water for your camels too, till they have had enough to drink." So she quickly emptied her jug into the watering trough and ran back to the well to draw water for all his camels. The servant watched her in silence, wondering whether or not Yahuwah had given him success in his mission. Then at last, when the camels had finished drinking, he took out a gold ring for her nose and two large gold bracelets for her wrists. "Whose daughter are you?" he asked. "And please tell me, would your father have any room to put us up for the night?" "I am the daughter of Bethuel," she replied. "My grandparents are Nahor and Milcah. Yes, we have plenty of straw and feed for the camels, and we have room for guests." The man bowed low and worshiped Yahuwah. "Praise Yahuwah, the God of my master Abraham," he said. "Yahuwah has shown unfailing love and faithfulness to my master, for he has led me straight to my master's relatives." The young woman ran home to tell her family everything that had happened. Now Rebekah had a brother named Laban who ran out to meet the man at the spring. He had seen the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrist, and he heard Rebekah tell what the man had said. So he rushed out to the spring where the man was still standing beside his camels. Laban said to him, "Come and stay with us, you who are blessed by Yahuwah. Why are you standing here outside the town when I have a room all ready for you and a place prepared for the camels?" So the man went home with Laban, and Laban unloaded the camels, gave him straw for their bedding, and fed them, and provided water for the man and the camel drivers to wash their feet. Then food was served. But Abraham's servant said, "I don't want to eat until I have told you why I have come." "All right," Laban said, "tell us." "I am Abraham's servant," he explained, "and Yahuwah has greatly blessed my master. He has become a wealthy man. Yahuwah has given him flocks of sheep and goats, herds of cattle, a fortune in silver and gold, and many male and female servants and camels and donkeys. When Sarah, my master's wife, was very old, she gave birth to my master's son, and my master has given him everything he owns. And my master made me take an oath. He said, 'Do not allow my son to marry one of these local Canaanite women. Go instead to my father's house, to my relatives, and find a wife there for my son.' But I said to my master, 'What if I can't find a young woman who is willing to go back with me?' He responded, he responded, 'Yahuwah, in whose presence I have lived, will send his angel with you and will make your mission successful. Yes, you must find a wife for my son from among my relatives, from my father's family. Then you will have fulfilled your obligation. But if you go to my relatives and they refuse to let her go with you, then you will be free from my oath.' So today, when I came to the spring, I prayed this prayer." And let me also bring something out. Notice how um, notice how back in the day when the patriarchs and the matriarchs, they were praying, how much faith filled their prayers and knowing that Yah would answer them, right? And also, I think that's a big disservice to all those who are missing this information, that they don't actually see this happening back in the day. By me reading this strengthened my prayers, knowing that Yah hears me and that he's going to answer me, and he hears me and he always answers me. So if there is nothing that can strengthen your faith like these stories back here, I'm telling you. I mean, you get some stuff from the New Testament, but all of that is really, it's like it doesn't have any substance behind it, if you get what I'm saying, right? So back here is all the substance and the proof and the stories and the recounts of everything that happened, where you can reach back and you can meditate and you can think about these things and draw on the faith of the elders and our ancestors who have gone before us. Remember, when I say ancestors, don't get all spooky on me. Ancestors mean those who have simply gone to the grave before we have. Okay. Just wanted to point that out because I know the word ancestors is being thrown around everywhere and thrown in the same circle with witchcraft and stuff. And I just wanted to make that clear. Okay, so but pay attention to how they pray and when they talk to Yah in the faith, even if their faith is a little shaken, how they respond to Yah, right? Okay. If she says yes, have a drink, I will draw water for your camels too. Let her be the one you have selected to be the wife of my master's son. Before I had finished praying, in my heart, I saw Rebecca coming out with her water jug on her shoulder. She went down to the spring and drew water. So I said to her, please give me a drink. And she quickly lowered her jug from her shoulder and said, yes, have a drink and I will water your camels too. So I drank and then she watered the camels. Then I asked, whose daughter are you? She replied, I'm the daughter of Bethuel and my grandparents are Nahor and Milcah. So I put the ring on her nose and the bracelets on her wrist. Then I bowed low and I worshiped Yahuwah and I praised him, the God of my master Abraham, because he had led me straight to my master's niece to be his son's wife. So tell me, will you or won't you show unfailing love and faithfulness to my master? Please tell me yes or no, then I'll know what to do next. Then Laban and Bethuel replied, Yahuwah has obviously brought you here, so there is nothing we can say. Here is Rebecca, take her and go. Yes, let her be the wife of your master's son, as Yahuwah has directed. When Abraham's servant heard their answer, he bowed to the ground and worshiped Yahuwah. Then he brought out silver and gold jewelry and clothing and presented them to Rebecca. He also gave expensive presents to her brother and mother. Then they ate their meal, and the servant and the men stayed with him there overnight. But early the next morning, Abraham's servant said, send me back to my master. But we want Rebecca to stay with us at least 10 days. Her brother and mother said, then she can go. But he said, don't delay me. Yahuwah has made my mission successful. Now send me back so I can return to my master. Well, they said, we'll call Rebecca and ask her what she thinks. So they called Rebecca. Are you willing to go with this man? They asked her. And she replied, yes, I will go. Sis said, I'm out. I'm ready to roll. So they said goodbye to Rebecca and had sent her away with Abraham's servant and his men. The woman who had been Rebecca's childhood nurse went along with her. They gave her this blessing as she parted. Our sister, may you become the mother of many millions. May your descendants be strong and conquer the cities of their enemies. Then Rebecca and her servant girls mounted the camels and followed the man. So Abraham's servant took Rebecca and went on his way. Meanwhile, Isaac, whose home was in the Negev, had returned from Bir Lahai Roi. On the evening, as he was walking and meditating in the fields, he looked up and saw the camels coming. When Rebecca looked up and saw Isaac, she quickly dismounted from her camel. Who is that man walking through the field to meet us? She asked the servant. And he replied, it is my master. So Rebecca covered her face with her veil. Then the servant told Isaac everything he had done. And Isaac brought Rebecca into his mother Sarah's tent, and she became his wife. He loved her deeply, and she was a special comfort to him after the death of his mother. Good morning, Auntie. Okay, y'all. So now we're about to hop right over here to filling these missing pieces of this story with Abraham and Isaac from Jasher 22 and 23. All right, y'all. Jasher. I'm so excited about this, y'all. Okay. Oh, here we go. All right, y'all. Jasher 22. And Ishmael then rose up and took his woman and his children and his cattle and all belonging to him. And he journeyed from there and went to his father in the land of the Philistines. Oh, you know what? Okay, let me, right here. So in when you get a chance, go and read chapter 21. In chapter 21, it tells you about how it had been a long time from when Abraham had sent Ishmael and Hagar away, and he was living out in the desert. So quite some time had passed away, and he told Sarah that he wanted to go see him. So he paid a couple trips to his son Ishmael, but both times Ishmael was out hunting, so he didn't see him. The first time he went, he was married to a woman who wasn't that nice of a woman, and Abraham saw it, and he heard her beating the children in a tent, and she wasn't at all gracious to Abraham, and she didn't realize who Abraham was. So Abraham said to his first wife, he said, "Tell your husband this when he returns," not knowing that she was about to give a riddle to her husband, that her husband knew it was his father that was speaking. And his father pretty much told him, he said, "Get rid of this tent peg that's in your tent, because it's no good. Your tent gonna be all messed up." But the tent peg, he was referring to the first wife, saying she no good, she beating the children, she ain't no good for you, got to get rid of her, go get you a better wife. And so 3 years later, so when Ishmael heard that, he knew it was his father, and apparently he knew his first wife wasn't that sweet of a woman. Rebecca's age got me. I know, right, Tiffany? So he eventually he put his first wife away, and he went and got another wife. And so it says 3 years later, Abraham went back up to go visit Ishmael again. Again, he was away out hunting and stuff, but this time, the wife was really gracious to him. She offered him food and drink and stuff, and Abraham blessed her, and he also gave her a riddle. He said, "Tell this to your husband when he returns." He said, "This tent peg that you have found," I'm summing it up, "is really good. Keep this one." So she told that to Ishmael when he came back, and he knew that his father approved of his wife, and it was a good wife. And sometime after that, Ishmael, they came to visit Abraham now with the good wife and everything he had at this point. So this is where this is starting off right here in Jasher 22. And everything I just summed up real quick, you can read it in Jasher chapter 21. So right here, Jasher 22 is what we're picking up. That's the end of that story. And Ishmael, matter of fact, let me read the last verse. I'll read the last two verses of 21, and I'll go right in here. "And he spoke these words to me." This is his new wife speaking to Ishmael. "And he spoke these words to me. When Ishmael, your man, comes home, say to him, the nail of the tent which you have is very good, and do not put it away from the tent." And Ishmael knew that it was his father, and that his woman had honored him, and Yahuwah blessed Ishmael. And this is where Jasher 22 starts. "And Ishmael then rose up and took his woman and all his children and his cattle and all belonging to him, and he journeyed from there, and he went to his father in the land of the Philistines. And Abraham related to Ishmael his son the transaction with the first woman that Ishmael took," meaning the first wife, "according to what she did. And Ishmael and his children dwelt with Abraham many days in that land. And Abraham dwelt in the land of the Philistines a long time. And the days increased and reached 26 years. And after that, Abraham with his servants and all belonging to him went from the land of the Philistines and removed a great distance. And they came near to Hebron, and they remained there. And the servants of Abraham dug wells of water, and Abraham and all belonging to him dwelt by the water. And the servants of Abimelech, king of the Philistines, heard the report that Abraham's servants had dug wells of water in the borders of the land. And they came and quarreled with the servants of Abraham, and they robbed them of the great well which they had dug. And Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, heard of this affair. Remember, Abimelech was the second king that Abraham and Sarah fooled, saying, "Hey, she my sister." This is that same king, and he's going to have a son, and they're going to name him Abimelech too. So as we get through here, it's going to switch from the first Abimelech to the second Abimelech, because the first one is going to die. So just so you're paying attention. And they came and quarreled with the servants of Abraham, and they robbed them of the great well which they had dug. And Abimelech, king of the Philistines, heard of this affair, and he with Phicol, the captain of his host, and 20 of his men came to Abraham. And Abimelech spoke to Abraham concerning his servants. And Abraham rebuked Abimelech concerning the well which his servants had robbed him. And Abimelech said to Abraham, "As Yahuwah lives, who created the whole earth, I did not hear of the act which my servants did unto your servants until this day." And Abraham took 7 ewe lambs and gave them to Abimelech, saying, "Take these, I pray you, from my hands, that it may be a testimony for me that I dug this well." And Abimelech took the 7 ewe lambs which Abraham had given him, for he had also given him cattle and herds in abundance. And Abimelech swore to Abraham concerning the well. Therefore he called the well Beersheba, for there they both swore concerning it. And they both cut a covenant in Beersheba, and Abimelech rose up with Phicol, the captain of his host, and all his men, and they returned to the land of the Philistines, and Abraham and all belonging to him dwelt in Beersheba, and he was in that land a long time. And Abraham planted a large grove in Beersheba, and he made to it four gates facing the four sides of the earth, and he planted a vineyard in it, so that if a traveler came to Abraham, he entered any gate which was in his road, and remained there, and ate and drank, and satisfied himself, and then departed. For the house of Abraham was always open to the sons of men that passed and repassed, who came daily to eat and drink in the house of Abraham. And it seemed to me that Abraham had like a little local restaurant going on, because it just said all the time that Abraham lived in his land. Any people who passed through back and forth, it don't matter if they was coming or if they was going, they were always welcome, because his doors was always open to those who were passing through, so that they could come in, they can rest themselves, they can get cleaned up and have something to eat. He always had things ready for the passers-by. And any man who had hunger came to Abraham's house. Abraham would give him bread that he might eat and drink and be satisfied. And anyone that came naked to his house, he would clothe with garments as he might choose, and give him silver and gold, and make known to him Yahuwah, who had created him in the earth. This Abraham did all his life. And Abraham and his children and all belonging to him dwelt in Beersheba, and he pitched his tent as far as Hebron. And Abraham's brother Nahor and his father and all belonging to them dwelt in Haran, and they did not come with Abraham to the land of Canaan. And children were born to Nahor and Milcah, the daughter of Haran, and the sister to Sarah, Abraham's woman, bore to him. And these are the names of those who were born to him: Utz, Buz, Kemuel, Kesek, Kazo, Fildash, Yidlap, and Bethuel, being 8 sons. These are the children of Milcah, which she bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. And Nahor had a concubine, and her name was Reumah, and she also bore to Nahor Zivat, Gatcash, Tekash, Makkah, being 4 sons. And the children that were born to Nahor were 12 sons besides his daughters, and they also had children born to them in Haran. And the children of Utz, the firstborn of Nahor, were Abi, Cherephath, Gadim, Milas, and Deborah, their sister. And the sons of Buz were Berikael, Naamath, Sheva, and Madonu. And the sons of Kemuel were Aram and Rechel. And the sons of Kesed were Anamlech, Meshai, Benan, Yithi. And the sons of Kazo were Fildash, Micah, and Ophir. And the sons of Fildash were Armor, Chamum, Mered, and Molech. I'm sorry, y'all. We got a couple more of these names, and it's gonna finish the story. And the sons of Fildash were Armor, Chamum, Mered, and Molech. And the sons of Yidlaf were Mushan, Kushan, and Mutzi. And the children of Bethuel were Sikar, Lavan, and their sister Rivkah, or Rebekah. These are the families of the children of Nahor that were born to them in Haran. And Aram, the son of Kemuel, and Rachel, his brother, went away from Haran, and they found a valley in the land by the river Perath. And they built a city there, and they called the name of the city after the name of Pethor, the son of Aram, that is, Aram Naharam, unto this day. And the children of Kesed also went to dwell where they could find a place, and they went and they found a valley opposite of the land of Shinar, and dwelt there. And there they built themselves a city, and they called the name of the city Kesed after the name of their father, that is the land of the Kasdim, until this day. And the Kasdim dwelt in the land, and they were fruitful and multiplied exceedingly. And Terah, the father of Nahor and Abraham, went and took another woman in his old age, and her name was Peliah. And she conceived and bore him a son, and he called his name Sova. And Terah lived 25 years and begot Sova. And Terah died in that year, and in the 35th year of the birth of Isaac, son of Abraham. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and he was buried in Haran. Okay, yeah, we get into the part. They just giving this a little bit of background. And Sova, the son of Terah, lived 30 years, and he begat Aram, Achilles, and Merrick. And Aram, son of Sova, son of Terech, had 3 women, and he begat 12 sons and 3 daughters. And Yahuwah gave to Aram, the son of Sova, riches and possessions, and abundance of cattle, and flocks and herds, and the man increased greatly. And Aram, the son of Sova, and his brother, and all his household, journeyed from Haran, and they went to dwell where they should find their place, for their property was too great to remain in Haran. For they could not stop in Haran together with their brethren, the children of Nahor. And Aram, the son of Sova, went with his brethren, and they found a valley at a distance toward the eastern country, and dwelt there. And they also built a city there, and called the name thereof Aram, after the name of their eldest brother. That is Aram Sova to this day. And Isaac, the son of Abraham, was growing up in those days, and Abraham his father taught him the way of Yahuwah, to know Yahuwah, and Yahuwah was with him. And when Isaac was 37 years old, listen, and when Isaac was 37 years old, Ishmael his brother was going about with him in a tent. And Ishmael boasted himself to Isaac, saying, I was 13 years old when Yahuwah spoke to my father to circumcise us. And I did according to the word of Yahuwah, which he spoke to my father. And I gave my soul to Yahuwah, and did not transgress his word, which he commanded my father. Remember, not only was Isaac serving Yah, but Ishmael, even though he was sent away and he was a wild man, he was also serving Yah, and Yahuwah was greatly blessing Ishmael. And Yitzchak. And Isaac answered Ishmael, saying, Why do you boast to me about this, about a little bit of your flesh, which you did take away from your body, concerning that which Yahuwah commanded you? As Yahuwah lives, the God of my father Abraham, if Yahuwah, listen, right here, pay attention to this. Pay attention to what he about to say to him. As Yahuwah lives, this is Isaac speaking. As Yahuwah lives, the God of my father Abraham, if Yahuwah should say unto my father, Take now your son Isaac and bring him up an offering before me, I would not refrain, but I would joyfully accede to it. Now, this wasn't, if we understand this correctly, remember how we was talking about how Abraham and Isaac went up there and Abraham's faith was being tested? I think that's a misunderstanding, a miscommunication. If we had the full story, we would know, yeah, Abraham's faith was being tested, but it was truly Isaac who was being tested, because these are the words that proceeded from Isaac's mouth himself. This was Isaac's idea when he was talking smack to his brother Ishmael. Pay attention. I'm going to read it again. Matter of fact, I'm going to go back to 43. And Isaac answered Ishmael, saying, Why do you boast to me about this, about a little bit of your flesh, which you did take from your body, concerning which Yahuwah commanded you? As Yahuwah lives, the God of my father Abraham, if Yahuwah should say to my father, Take now your son Isaac and bring him up an offering before me, I would not refrain, but I would joyfully accede to it. And Yahuwah heard the word that Isaac spoke to Ishmael, and it seemed good in the sight of Yahuwah, and he thought to try Abraham in this manner. And the day arrived. Remember, remember when I told y'all here, y'all said it never even crossed my mind, because these was Isaac's words. Isaac put himself out there, and Yahuwah heard him say, let's go ahead and try you both in this. He tried Abraham, but Isaac was the one who them words had come from. Yeah, 2 jealous brothers, Tiffany. So them words came for Isaac. So it really would behoove us to be mindful of the words we speak, especially if we've been going back and forth with somebody being spiteful, because Yahuwah is hearing everything, and your words may come for you. So you got to be careful. Sometimes you just got to zip them lips and walk away. And Yahuwah heard the word that Isaac spoke to Ishmael, and it seemed good in the sight of Yahuwah, and he thought to try Abraham in this manner. And the day arrived when the sons of Yahuwah came and placed themselves before Yahuwah. And Satan also came with the sons of Yah before him. And Yahuwah said unto Satan, Whence come you? And Satan answered Yahuwah and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And we know this happened also during Job's time. Listen. And Yahuwah said to Satan, What is your word to me concerning all the children of the earth? And Satan answered Yahuwah and said, I have seen all the children of the earth who serve you and remember you when they require anything from you. So he's saying they remember you when they need something from you. And when you give them the thing which they require from you, they sit at their ease and forsake you, and they remember you no more. Have you seen Abraham, the son of Terah, who at first had no children, and he served you and erected altars to you wherever he came, and he brought up offerings upon them, and he proclaimed your name continually to all the children of the earth. And now that his son Isaac is born to him, he has forsaken you. He has made a great feast for all the inhabitants of the land, and Yahuwah he has forgotten. Now we all know that that's not true, but this is Satan giving his account of what he see happening. For amidst all that he has done, he has brought you no offering, neither burnt offering nor peace offering, neither ox, lamb, nor goat. Of all he killed on that day, his son was weaned. Even from the time of his son's birth till now, being 37 years old, he built no altar before you, nor brought any offering to you, for he saw that you did give what he requested before you, and therefore he forsook you. And Yahuwah said to Satan, Have you thus considered my servant Abraham? For there is none like him upon the earth, a perfect and upright man before me, one that fears Yahuwah and avoids evil. As I live, were I to say to him, Bring up, listen. And Yahuwah, remember, this wasn't Yahuwah's thought. Yahuwah is simply repeating to Satan what Isaac had already said that he would do. Listen. Hold on. As I live, were I to say unto him, Bring up Isaac your son before me, he would not withhold him from me. Much more if I told him to bring up burnt offerings before me from his flock or his herds. And Satan answered Yahuwah and said, Speak then now to Abraham as you have said, and you will see whether or not he will this day transgress and cast aside your words. Jasher chapter 23. At that time, the word of Yahuwah came to Abraham, and he said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. And remember, this is the part where it just jumps to in Genesis, right? Abraham. And he said, Here I am. And he said to him, Take now your son, your only son, whom you love, even Isaac, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains, which shall be shown to you. For there you will see a cloud and the glory of Yahuwah. And Abraham said within himself, How shall I separate my son Isaac from Sarah his mother, in order to bring him up for a burnt offering before Yahuwah? And Abraham came into the tent, and he sat before Sarah his woman, and he spoke these words to her. My son Isaac is grown up. Remember, he's grown up. This man he's a grown man. He's 37 years old. My son Isaac is grown up, and he has not for some time studied the service of his God. Now tomorrow I will go and bring him to Shem and Eber his son, and there he will learn the ways of Yahuwah. For they will teach him to know Yahuwah as well as to know For they will teach him to know Yahuwah as well as to know that when he prays continually before Yahuwah, he will answer him. Therefore, there he will know the way of serving Yahuwah. And Sarah said, You have spoken well. Go, my Lord, and do unto him as you have said, but remove him not at a great distance from me, neither let him remain there too long, for my soul is bound within his soul. And Abraham said unto Sarah, My daughter, let us pray to Yahuwah that he may do good with us. And Sarah took her son Isaac, and he abode all the night with her, and she kissed and embraced him and gave him instructions till morning. And she said to him, O my son, how can my soul separate itself from you? And she still kissed him and embraced him, and she gave Abraham instructions concerning him. And Sarah said to Abraham, O my Lord, I pray you take heed of your son and place your eyes over him, for I have no other son nor daughter but him. Oh, forsake him not. If he be hungry, give him bread. If he be thirsty, give him water to drink. Do not let him go on foot, neither let him sit in the sun. I'm like, Sarah, listen, he a grown man now, okay? Get it together. But you got to remember, this is her only son, and she had him after she was well past the age of childbearing years. That in itself is a miracle, right? So that's why she said, my soul is bound up within his soul. Neither let him go by himself in the road, neither force him from whatsoever he may desire, but do unto him as he may say unto you. And Sarah wept bitterly the whole night on the account of Isaac, and she gave him instructions until morning. And in the morning, Sarah selected a very fine and beautiful garment from those garments which she had in the house that Abimelech had given to her. And she dressed Isaac, her son, therewith, and she put a turban on his head, and she enclosed a precious stone in the top of the turban, and she gave them provision for the road. And they went forth, and Isaac went, and his father Abraham, and some of their servants accompanied them to see them off the road. And Sarah went out with them, and she accompanied them upon the road to see them off. And they said to her, return to the tent. And Sarah heard the words of her son Isaac, and wept bitterly. And Abraham, her man, wept with her. And their son wept with them a great weeping. Also those who went with them wept greatly. And Sarah caught hold of her son Isaac, and she held him in her arms, and she embraced him and continued to weep with him. And Sarah said, who knows if after this day I shall ever see you again? And they wept together, Abraham, Sarah, and Isaac, and all those that accompanied them on the road wept with them. And Sarah afterward turned away from her son, weeping bitterly, and all her manservants and maidservants returned with her to the tent. And Abraham went with Isaac, his son, to bring him up as an offering before Yahuwah, as he commanded him. And Abraham took two of his young men with him, Ishmael, the son of Hagar, and Eleazar, his servant. And they went together with them. And while they were walking in the road, the young men spake these words to themselves. And Ishmael said to Eleazar, now my father Abraham is going with Yitzchak to bring him up for a burnt offering to Yahuwah, as he commanded him. So clearly, Ishmael knew what was going on. You know, remember they had this argument. I can imagine soon after they was having a quarrel amongst themselves, Isaac and Ishmael, that, you know, Abraham came and said, look, hey, Isaac, we need to go do a burnt offering to Yah. And so you can imagine soon after they had this conversation that his words came back to him. I wonder if this is because of what I said to Isaac the other day when we was in there arguing. You know, so I don't know who told Ishmael. It could have been Abraham. He could have overheard it. Or it could have been Isaac himself. Like, look, bro, hold on. You know the argument we was having the other day? I think my words is coming for me. I think Dad about to go sacrifice me. You know, I can just imagine the conversation. But clearly he knew. Clearly Ishmael knew. And Ishmael said to Eleazar, now my father Abraham is going with Isaac to bring him up for a burnt offering to Yahuwah, as he commanded him. Now when he returns, he will give to me all that he possesses. Like, bro, your brother is about to die, and all you can think about is all the stuff you about to get that belongs to him. Now when he returns, he will give to me all that he possesses to inherit after him, for I am his firstborn. And Eleazar answered Ishmael and said, surely Abraham did cast you away with your mother and swear that you should not inherit anything of all he possesses. And to whom will he give all that he has with all his treasures, but unto me, his servant, who has been faithful in his house, who has served him night and day, and has done all that he desired me. To me, he will bequeath at his death all that he possessed. I'm like, both of you jokers, Ishmael and Eleazar. Now, no, he kicked you out with your mama. So I've been here. I've been faithful this whole time. All that stuff coming to me, bro. And while Abraham was proceeding with his son Isaac along the road, Satan came and appeared to Abraham in a figure of a very aged man, humble and of a contrite spirit. He approached Abraham. Now, let's just point this out. It says Satan came and he appeared. Remember, back in the Garden of Eden, he appeared unto Eve as an angel of light. He changed his form and figure. I mean, if you spirit, you can do, I mean, if the angels can make themselves be seen, why can't Satan? He was an angel, right? So that's what happened. He changed his form. I read it. And while Abraham was proceeding with his son Isaac along the road, Satan came and appeared to Abraham in the figure of a very aged man, humble and of a contrite spirit. And he approached Abraham and said to him, "Are you silly or brutish that you would go do this thing this day to your son? For Yahuwah gave you a son in your latter days in your old age, and will you go and slaughter him this day because he committed no violence? And will you cause the soul of your son to perish from the earth? Do you not know and understand that this thing cannot be from Yahuwah?" Listen to Satan, what he's saying to him, right? He the one up here. He's like, y'all, let me go ahead and see this thing through. So now he going back now that he see that Abraham is actually carrying this out. He didn't think Abraham was going to have the guts to go do it. But now he's seeing it. He's trying to thwart the plan now because he going to be proven wrong that Abraham is truly faithful. And anything Yahuwah would ask him to do, that he would go do, right? So now he's trying to stop Abraham from keeping the command that he heard from Yah. For Yahuwah gave you a son in your latter days in your old age, and will you go and slaughter him this day because he committed no violence? And will you cause the soul of your son to perish from the earth? Do you not know and understand this thing cannot be hidden from Yahuwah? For Yahuwah cannot do unto man such evil upon the earth to say to him, "Go slaughter your child." Now, even Satan himself knew, and he's reminding Abraham that human sacrifice is forbidden by Yah. Yah would never ask you to do a thing like this. Listen to this. Yahuwah cannot do unto man such evil upon earth to say to him, "Go slaughter your child." And Abraham heard this and knew that it was the word of Satan, who endeavored to draw him aside from the way of Yahuwah. But Abraham would not hearken to the voice of Satan, and Abraham rebuked him so that he went away. And Satan returned and came to Isaac, and he appeared unto Isaac in the figure of a young man, comely and well favored. And since he couldn't get Abraham, now he going to Isaac. He trying to stop it every which way. And he approached Isaac and said unto him, "Do you not know and understand that your old silly father brings you to the slaughter this day for naught? Now therefore, my son, do not listen nor attend to him, for he is a silly old man. And let not your precious soul and beautiful figure be lost from this earth." And Isaac heard this and said to Abraham, "Have you heard, my father, that which this man has spoken? Even thus has he spoken." And Abraham answered his son Isaac and said to him, "Take heed of him and do not listen to his words, nor attend to him, for he is Satan, endeavoring to draw us aside this day from the commandment of Yahuwah." And Abraham still rebuked Satan, and Satan went from them, and seeing he could not prevail over them, he hid himself from them, and he went and passed before them in the road, and he transformed himself into a large brook of water in the road. And Abraham and Isaac and his two young men reached that place, and they saw a brook, large and powerful as the mighty waters. And they entered the brook and passed through it, and the waters at first reached their legs. And they went deeper in the brook, and the waters reached up to their necks. And they were all terrified on the account of the water. And while they were going over the brook, Abraham recognized that place, and he knew that there was no water there before. And Abraham said to his son Isaac, "I know this place, in which there was no brook nor water. Now therefore it is this Satan who does all this to us, to draw us aside this day from the commands of Yahuwah." And Abraham rebuked him and said unto him, "Yahuwah rebuke you, O Satan. Be gone away from us, for we go by the commands of Yahuwah." And Satan was terrified at the voice of Abraham, and he went away from them, and the place again became as dry land as it was at the first. And Abraham went with Isaac toward the place that Yahuwah had told him. And on the third day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the place at a distance which Yahuwah had told him of. And a pillar of fire appeared to him that reached from earth to heaven, and a cloud of glory came upon the mountain, and the glory of Yahuwah was seen in a cloud. And this is what Yahuwah told him he would see when he get there, so he knew that this was the place. Trina said, "Satan's so two-faced." Ain't he know, right? Okay. And Abraham said to Isaac, "My son, do you see in that mountain which we perceive at a distance that which I see upon it?" And Isaac answered and said unto his father, "I see, and lo, a pillar of fire and a cloud, and the glory of Yahuwah is seen upon the cloud." And Abraham knew that his son Isaac was accepted before Yahuwah for a burnt offering. And Abraham said unto Eleazar and unto Ishmael his son, do you also see that which we see upon the mountain, which is at a distance? And they answered and said, we see nothing more than like the other mountains of the earth. And Abraham knew that they were not accepted before Yahuwah to go with them. And Abraham said to them, abide ye here with the ass, while I and Isaac my son will go yonder mount and worship there before Yahuwah and return to you. And Eleazar and Ishmael remained in that place as Abraham had commanded. So even though Abraham and Isaac saw this fire and this cloud upon the mountain, Ishmael and Eleazar couldn't see it. So he knew, yeah, y'all, Yahuwah has definitely closed your sight to this, and you can't go, So we see that happen a couple times throughout the Bible, even in the canonized 66 books, where some people will be able to see in the spirit and some can't. Yahuwah doesn't allow that to happen for everybody. And Eleazar and Ishmael remained in that place as Abraham had commanded. And Abraham took wood for a burnt offering and placed it upon his son Isaac. And he took the fire and the knife, and they both went to that place. Remember, how old is Isaac now? Why they going up here? 37 years old. All right. And we're all on the same page. He's not a little toddler. Okay. And I'm just wanting to correct that Sunday school teaching for all of you who thought he was a toddler going up here. He's grown man, 37 years old. He about our age. I'm 41, but you get my drift. Okay. And when they were going along, Isaac said to his father, behold, I see here the fire and wood. And where then is the lamb that is to be the burnt offering before Yahuwah? And Abraham answered his son Isaac, saying, Yahuwah has made choice of you, my son, to be a perfect burnt offering instead of the lamb. And Isaac said unto his father, remember, this is the point where he knew these words was coming for him. And what he told his brother Ishmael that he would do if his father said to him, I'm going to offer you up as a burnt offering to Yah. He said that he would accede to it. He wouldn't fight. He would lay down his life if his father asked him that. And Isaac said unto his father, I will do all that Yahuwah spoke to you with joy and cheerfulness of heart. And Abraham again said to Isaac his son, is there in your heart any thought or counsel concerning this which is not proper? Tell me, my son, I pray you, O son, conceal it not from me. And Isaac answered his father Abraham and said unto him, O my father, as Yahuwah lives and as your soul lives, there is nothing in my heart to cause me to deviate either to the right or to the left from the word that he has spoken to you. Neither limb nor muscle have moved or stirred at this, nor is there in my heart any thought or evil concerning this. But I am joyful and I am cheerful in heart in this manner. And I say, blessed is Yahuwah, who has this day chosen me to be a burnt offering before him. And Abraham greatly rejoiced at the words of Isaac, and they went on and came together to that place that Yahuwah had spoken of. And Abraham approached to build the altar in that place, and Abraham was weeping. And Isaac took stones and mortar until they had finished building the altar. And Abraham took the wood and placed it in order upon the altar which he had built. And he took his son Isaac and bound him in order to place him on the wood which was upon the altar to slay him for a burnt offering before Yahuwah. And Isaac said to his father, bind me securely, then place upon me the altar, lest I should turn and move and break loose from the force of the knife upon my flesh, and thereby profane the burnt offering. And Abraham did so. He like, Daddy, make it tight so I can't move, because when you stab me, I might be able to break free. So make sure it's tight, He may not have said that, but that's that. In other words, he said it. He said, bind me securely so I don't move. And Isaac still said to his father, O my father, when you shall have slain me and burnt me for an offering, take with you that which shall remain of my ashes to bring to Sarah my mother, and say to her, this is a sweet smelling savor of Isaac, but do not tell her this if she should sit near a well or upon any high place, lest she should cast her soul after me and die. And Abraham heard the words of Isaac, and he lifted up his voice and wept when Isaac spoke these words. And Abraham's tears gushed down upon Isaac his son, and Isaac wept bitterly. And he said to his father, hasten you, O my father, and do with me the will of Yahuwah, as he commanded you. And the hearts of Abraham and Isaac rejoiced at this thing which Yahuwah had commanded them, but the eye wept bitterly while the heart rejoiced. And Abraham bound his son Isaac and placed him on the altar upon the wood. And Isaac stretched forth his neck upon the altar before his father. And Abraham stretched forth his hand to take the knife to slay his son as a burnt offering before Yahuwah. At that time, the angels of mercy came before Yahuwah and spoke to him concerning Isaac, saying, O Yahuwah, you are a merciful and compassionate king over all that you have created in heaven and in earth, and you support them all. Give therefore ransom and redemption instead of your servant Isaac, and pity and have compassion upon Abraham and Isaac his son, who are this day performing your commands. Now that's something. I just want to bring this out. This is really about to happen. And then the angels, they must remember, because they are watchers. These called the angels of mercy, but they are watchers, which are angels who are set in different places all over the earth to watch over the sons of men and everything that's going on here. And they give report to Yahuwah daily on a constant basis, right? And so they saw this going on, and they knew of the promise and stuff. So they were like, wait a minute, we gotta go. Yeah, listen. Do you know that this is happening? You gotta send a replacement. You can't let this happen, right? So even the angels decided to intercede on the behalf of Abraham and Isaac of what was about to take place here, right? At that time, the angels of mercy came before Yahuwah and spoke to him concerning Isaac, saying, O Yahuwah, you are a merciful and compassionate king over all that you have created in heaven and in earth, and you support them all. Give therefore a ransom and redemption instead of your servant Isaac, and pity and have compassion upon Abraham and Isaac his son, who are this day performing your commands. Have you seen, O Yahuwah, how Isaac, the son of Abraham, your servant, is bound down to the slaughter like an animal? Now therefore let your pity be roused for them, O Yahuwah. At that time, Yahuwah appeared to Abraham and called to him from heaven and said unto him, lay not your hand upon the lad, neither do you anything unto him. For now I know that you fear Yahuwah in performing this act, and in not withholding your son, your only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw, and behold, a ram was caught in a thicket by its horns, and the ram which Yahuwah had created in that was the ram which Yahuwah had created in the earth in the day that he made the earth and heaven. For Yahuwah had prepared this ram from that day to be a burnt offering instead of Isaac. And this ram was advancing to Abraham when Satan caught hold of him and entangled his horns in the thicket that he might not advance to Abraham, in order that Abraham might slay his son. He's still trying it, ain't he? Oh, I see a ram. Bush, catch the ram in the bush. Go ahead, Abram. Go ahead. Same part right there. Go ahead. Do what you about to do. Go ahead. Abraham looked up and seeing the ram advancing to him and Satan withholding him, fetched him and brought him before the altar. And he loosed his son Isaac from his binding, and he put the ram in his stead. And Abraham killed the ram upon the altar and brought it up as an offering in the place of his son Isaac. And Abraham sprinkled some of the blood of the ram upon the altar, and he exclaimed and said, this is in place of my son, and may this be considered this day as the blood of my son before Yahuwah. And all that Abraham did on this occasion by the altar, he would exclaim and say, this is in the room of my son, and may it this day be considered before Yahuwah in the place of my son. And Abraham finished the whole of the service by the altar, and the service was accepted before Yahuwah and was accounted as if it had been Isaac. And Yahuwah blessed Abraham and his seed on that day. And Satan went to Sarah, and he appeared to her in the figure of an old man, very humble and meek. Let me just say something else. If he's doing all this appearing to them, what makes us think this is not happening still to us today? I'm telling you that this is probably still happening. Some of y'all then probably had some entanglements with Satan himself. He changing his appearance at any given which way to suit your situation. I'm just saying, think about that. When people pop up in your life and it seems like right at the right moment, especially if it's something that y'all might want to consider, is this Satan to change his appearance to get me off track? I'm telling you. Think about it, people. And Satan went to Sarah, and he appeared to her in the figure of an old man, very humble and meek. And Abraham was yet engaged in the burnt offering before Yahuwah. And he said to her, do you not know all the work that Abraham has made with your only son this day? Sure, bruh, I'm telling you. They keep you on the straight and narrow. I'm telling you, get thee behind me, Satan. Literally. Okay. Oh, okay. Let me stop playing. Hold on. Popping my stuff off the screen. Okay, y'all. And he said unto her, do you not know all the work that Abraham has made with your son this day? For he took Isaac and built an altar and killed him and brought him up as a sacrifice on the altar. And Isaac cried and wept before his father, but he looked not at him, neither did he have compassion over him. And Satan repeated these words, and he went away from her. And Sarah heard all the words of Satan, and she imagined him to be an old man from amongst the sons of men who had been with her son and had come and told her these things. And Sarah lifted up her voice and wept and cried out bitterly on the account of her son. And she threw herself upon the ground and cast dust upon her head. And she said, oh, my son, Isaac, my son, oh, that I had this day died instead of you. And she continued to weep and said, it grieves me for you, O my son Isaac. Oh, that I had died this day in your stead. And she continued to weep and said, it grieves me for you. After that, I have reared you and have brought you up. And now my joy is turned into mourning over you. I that had longing for you and cried and prayed to Yahuwah till I bore you at 90 years old. And now have you served this day for the knife and the fire to be made an offering. But I console myself with you, my son, in its being the word of Yahuwah, for you did perform the command of your God. For who can transgress the word of our God, in whose hands is the soul of every living creature? You see how they pray and how they believe and how they know? That's what we need. That needs to be reinstated to our people this day. You are just, O Yahuwah, for all your works are good and righteous. For I also am rejoiced with your word, which you did command. And while my eye weeps bitterly, my heart rejoices. And Sarah laid her head upon the bosom of one of her handmaids, and she became as still as a stone. And afterwards she rose up and went about making inquiries until she came to Hebron, and she inquired of all those whom she met walking in the road. And no one could tell her what had happened to her son. And she came with her maid servants and men servants to Kiriath Arba, which is Hebron, and she asked concerning her son, and she remained there while she sent some of her servants to seek where Abraham had gone with Isaac. They went to seek him in the house of Shem and Eber, and they could not find him. And they sought throughout the land, and he was not there. And behold, Satan came to Sarah in the shape of an old man. And he came and stood before her, and he said unto her, I spoke falsely unto you, for Abraham did not kill his son, and he is not dead. And when she heard the word, her joy was so exceedingly violent on the account of her son that her soul went out through joy. She died and was gathered to her people. So her words look like they came for her too. So instead of her son, her soul went up. Oh, that it had been me instead of you, my son. Satan heard that too. We coming from them words, Sarah. We coming for you. Oh, sis, I lied. He alive. So her soul was violently overtaken with joy that she gave up the ghost. I'll read it again. Verse 86. And behold, Satan came to Sarah in the shape of an old man, and he came and stood before her, and he said to her, I spoke falsely unto you, for Abraham did not kill his son, and he said he is not dead. And when she heard the word, her joy was so exceedingly violent on the account of her son that her soul went out through joy, and she died and was gathered to her people. And when Abraham had finished his service, he returned with his son Isaac to his young men. And they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and they came home. And Abraham sought for Sarah and could not find her. And he made inquiries concerning her. And they said to him, she went as far as Hebron to seek you both where you had gone, for thus she was informed. And Abraham and Isaac went to her in Hebron. And when they found that she was dead, they lifted up their voices and wept bitterly over her. And Isaac fell upon his mother's face and wept over her. And he said, "Oh, my mother, how have you left me? Or where have you gone? Oh, how have you left me?" And Abraham and Isaac wept greatly, and all their servants wept with them on account of Sarah, and they mourned over her a great and heavy mourning. And that, my beautiful people, is our reading for today. That was Genesis 22, 23, and 24. And we filled in all those missing pieces with Jasher 22 and 23. All right, y'all. So I'll put those down in the comment section. So if you want to go ahead and put your eyes on it yourself, and I would recommend that you do. Don't just sit here and listen to me all the time. Take initiative and go learn yourself. Lay your eyes on it so you can now own the information. Oh, you can say, oh, you can do more than say, I heard somebody read it to me. You can say, I read it myself. He make me sick. Got them in the streets like that. I know, got her in them streets like that. I know, sis was 90-something years old. Yeah. No, she was older than that now. No, she was 127 years old at this time because she died when she was 127. I'm saying, I know. You're too old to be out there in the streets like that. But still, some of them were still living a lot older at this time than even Sarah was. Because I think Shem died, I want to say Shem was like 400-something years old when he died. Mind you, Shem was still alive at this time because she went to Shem. Sarah went to Shem to see if they was there because they said they was going to Shem and his son so that he could teach Isaac the ways of Yah. Okay, y'all. So with that being said, let's go ahead over here to Numbers and do this blessing. Y'all know where it's found at. Numbers chapter 6. Verses 22 through 27. Remember, the first 21 verses is what? Yes, the Nazarite vow. Anybody can take it, man or woman, where you set yourself apart holy as holy unto Yah, and you carry your consecration upon your head. You have to stay away from alcohol, dead bodies, man and beast. What were Sarah's words? What you mean? Oh, the words that came back for her when she died. It didn't say that, but we can surmise that's what happened when Satan appeared to her first. And I hope that's what you're talking about, Dana. When Satan appeared to her at first, he said, Abraham then killed your son. That's pretty much summing it up. And she began to weep and she became sorrowful. That's when she went to go look for him. And she said, "Oh, my son, had it been me instead of you this day that had died." You know, then Satan came back, appeared to her again, says, "I lied. Abraham didn't kill him. He's still alive." And so she pretty much, it looks like to me that it said her soul was violently shaken with joy that her spirit left from her. So to me, in today's vernacular, I would say maybe she had a heart attack when she found the news out that her son wasn't dead and he was really alive. Don't quote me on that, but in today, it would look like that's a heart attack today. But I'm not sure, but she died because of the joy of knowing that her son was alive. And it looks to me that her words came back for her. "Oh, my son, had it been me today that died instead of you," So, all right, y'all. I hope that's what you was talking about, Dana. If not, type it in and I'll respond to you. All right. So the blessing, starting at verse 22 of Numbers. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, "Speak unto Aaron and unto his son, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them." Yeah, sound like a heart attack to you too, Trina? Yeah. All right, beautiful people. That's it. Enjoy your families today. Enjoy some good food if you guys are cooking, spending time with your family. Sure said it could have been a seizure. It's possible. It's possible. Oh, that's it. Okay. You're welcome, Dana. All right, beautiful people. I love y'all, and I will see y'all bright and early in the morning. What's today? Today Thursday? Yeah, today's Thursday. Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mom.